Alright, welcome back guys. I wanted to give an update on this Beetle. I've done a few episodes on this thing trying to figure out why it wouldn't start. And happy to say it does start, it does work. I did give up. I dropped it off at a service shop. In my previous videos I replaced the fuse box and I replaced the starter. Still would not start, would not crank, would not do anything. But when I hot wired the starter directly from a 12 volt source from the battery, just using a piece of wire, it would crank, but it wouldn't engage. So I thought maybe I had a junk starter, and I kind of did. Here was the problem. O'Reilly's sold me the wrong starter. And I told them this was an 04 Beetle Turbo S, and they gave me a starter for a Beetle Turbo. Now, the Beetle Turbo is a 1.8 turbo that's pretty common power plant in the Beetle. But this is a Turbo S, which means it has the special cup bumpers, lowered suspension, different aluminum interior. Really, this car is like the GTI 337 edition. I think they only produce 2,500 of them in each color total. So the big thing about this car is that it has a standard 6-speed manual transmission, not a 5-speed, which was the problem. So the starter that I put in, it looked almost identical, but there were a couple key differences. Most notably, the electrical connector, although the plastic thing plugged in and snapped into the starter, it was not getting contact, which is why the starter was not turning over. There's something about the width of the actual metal piece that's inside that connector was not making electrical contact in the new starter. The other issue was the gear, I don't know what you would call it, the gear or the sprocket on the tip of the starter was a little different shape, and it was not engaging with the flywheel correctly. The shop realized that the wrong starter was in it when they ordered a replacement starter, and O'Reilly's actually took care of me. They refunded me for the 5-speed starter and then paid the difference so that I was made whole again, since they were the one that screwed up, not me. I did put the starter in correctly, it just happened to be the wrong part number. So I'm going to put the part number down in the comments below. If you have a Turbo S, make sure you get this part number, and make sure that when you're talking to someone you say Turbo S, not Turbo. And I don't know if O'Reilly's software was wrong, but they definitely sold me a 5-speed starter, which is what drove me crazy with this car. It's been a great car. It has stage 2 Unitronics tune on it, so it has 235 horsepower and 275 foot-pounds of torque. So scoots pretty good, kind of like a modded WRX, not off the line, but once you're moving, she moves pretty good. I guess the one thing I would say about this car is I think it's really underappreciated right now. The 337 GTI, people are getting like 10 to 15 grand for them, and this is the same thing in Beetle form. And I know people say Beetles aren't as cool, but I think it looks pretty cool, and it has the same interior kind of extra special things like billet pieces of aluminum on the dash and in the footwell, and just it's a higher quality interior. The seats are more deeply bolstered with a contrasting leather pattern. Again, that factory 6-speed transmission is pretty awesome. I really don't understand why the values of these things have not gone up. They were limited production just like the 337, and yeah, I don't know. Get one now if you can find a clean one. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I really loved the Audi TT from a design perspective. Like my whole life, that first generation TT looked incredible. But then I got to drive one, and it was even a 6-speed 225, you know, the nice one. And I think I like this car better. It's got a lot more utility, and the visibility of an Audi TT was just not very good. And it still drove like a Mark IV Volkswagen, which I'm not saying is a negative thing. It's just, it's not a sports car. It looks like a sports car, but it kind of just drives like a Beetle or a Golf, really. So, I don't know. I would get one of these. So the winter tires I'm running this thing are Michelin X Ice 3s. I got a deal on this wheel and tire setup when we first got this car, and they've been amazing. They've actually impressed me so much that this is what I put on any car that I want snow tires on. They drive just like an all-season. They're really quiet. They handle great. The gas mileage doesn't take a hit. And when it's snowy, they still really get a good grip, especially in the ice. I think the weakest part is probably like deep slushy snow, but for everything else and dry pavement, these things are killer. They are a little bit pricey, but you get what you pay for.